Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
It's Easter Sunday, and our drivers will have to be fast as rabbits today. The Scary Quick Road America will make top speed a priority. If anyone has a hidden Easter egg in their setup, they may be keeping it close to their chest for now. Let's see who winds up with a treat at the end as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Most fans are well familiar with Road America, but just in case, let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But 2 of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. This should put on a good show here, Joey. These cars are going to be close together, I imagine, for much of the race.
The downforce levels will be low. The high speeds are going to be way up there. 14 turns here at Road America, just over 4 miles, one of the staples of North American road racing. And the draft is in full effect here. The ground effect will be full effect in these Lotus 79 cars. So watch out for high cornering speeds, big brake zones. Most noticeably, turn 5, probably one of the biggest and best passing opportunities. Also, the two biggest corners on the racetrack, the carousel, long downhill sweeping corner that leads into the kink. Probably one of the fastest corners in North America. Also heads down into Canada corner, one of the biggest and best passing opportunities on the backside of the racetrack. Like I said, just a fast, classic racetrack.
Absolutely. It remains a challenge to this day for sure. Now, for the championship, it's been a little bit interesting. We haven't had a repeat winner yet, but Partonen's been the most consistent, having taken at least one win. Freckleton has not, but Tolanen also has a victory. And then you have to go back down to 5th to get to the next winner for Juan Costa, with Trangarade kind of in between there. But it remains tight because of that, although Partonen ahead by just under a full win's worth of points, certainly seems to have just a slight edge over the rest. Now, for the sort of amateur class, we have the F2 driver standings.
Jason Carlo and Keith Herner locked in a battle right now up top, only 1 point separating them. Consider Tim Britton in that fight as well, right there in 3rd, and then see a little bit of a jump back, but the points once again closely stacked between Stephen Jones, Patrick Samaran, Kurt Clapper, Thomas Silbernagel. That's all right there, 3rd through 7th place, and have to keep an eye on all of these. I know we got 2 splits out here, so I think the majority of these contenders will be in here, but they're going to be stealing some points away from that second split.
Indeed, as we now take a look at the race details, it takes a bit to get around here, even in these cars. So it's only 20 laps that they're going to be running today. It's open setup. You heard Joey talking about it, trying to trim them out to try and find top speed. That's going to be the critical aspect of today, and no spare cars. So some of those more high-speed turns that don't have much runoff, well, you're going to have to take care of it, or else your day is going to be over a little bit prematurely. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and disqualification at 25. We'll keep them honest, but we're not anticipating many drivers being able to hit that point at a track that sees very little in the way of paved runoff. We're going to watch with Cam Porter here as he gets ready to set his first flying lap. We still haven't had anybody put a time down because it's just under 2 minutes just to circulate.
It is. The outlap takes quite a while, and I saw Cam Porter on the radio when we first split to him. Typical driver, already arguing with his crew chief on the radio.
Well, as he comes up into turn 6 here, looks good so far as he's got that old H-pattern shifter there off to the side, doing it old school style, and then brings it down into the heavy braking at turn 8 at the bottom of the hill. This is what you were talking about earlier, Joe. Down through the carousel in the kink. This is give us an idea of the immense amounts of speeds that they carry through here.
And camber, downhill plus camber, tons of speed, and into the kink. Pretty much maybe a little bit of a lift of a throttle in these cars and back to the gas, but oh my, the commitment through the racing line, especially with aero wash, it's going to be tough.
I wouldn't be surprised if anybody tries too wide. If it goes wrong through there, someone has to back out. We're going to have to wheel it down through Canada corner. We're starting to get a few times in ahead of him, though. Costa is the provisional pole over Parton by a whopping 0.3 of a second. That's a bigger gap than we typically see in this series, where drivers are really at the limit. So Cam is up the hill. Let's see what the first lap's going to be for him as he crosses the line just now. It's going to be a 54.6. That, unfortunately, is going to put him last of the drivers that have set times, except for now Sanchez, who just crosses. Phil Reed currently sitting in that 3rd spot up at the very top with Timothy Reed, no relation, sitting in 4th, but they get one more lap at it.
This is your provisional pole sitter after 1 lap. Juan Costa out there, no surprise, but Pauli Partonen only a 0.3 off of him. Like you mentioned, Phil Reed and then also Timothy Reed. Those are the 4 cars in the 1 minute 50 second bracket on their first lap.
Interesting to note that Kimmo Viekainen, who's usually a top 10 runner, has missed his first lap. If they go off course, they'll get it deleted. So the Finnish driver is now out there trying to see if he can get at least a banker one in. He doesn't want to be completely out of it, but he also doesn't want to go too slow on this. He is on the back foot.
And Joe, I could be wrong, but I know that Kimmo's, started from the back maybe once or twice already this season. Maybe hoping for a little bit of a cleaner qualifying here at Road America.
Yeah, I want to say that's happened twice already this season. So I don't know if he's intentionally trying to do this or what, but so far this one has looked clean since we picked him up as he goes over Bill Mitchell Bend, very blind over that crest, and then one more corner to get, very tricky right-hander with curved braking into it, and he's up to the line. Let's see what this one marks. Timothy Reed moves up into third as he crosses. Costa's still your pole sitter, and he's done with his. Yeah, this one's deleted, so Viekainen going to start from the back. Partanen went faster, but he is still a 10th off of Costa.
Here's Daniel Banker coming in, locking in the 13th place position. But Joe, a name we haven't mentioned, position 5, Yanni Rionen up there, snuck one in.
He's been here a few times. I'll need to go back and check my stats because it's been a while since I've seen that name. But yeah, top 5 for him. He's bumped Phil Reed down to 6. We did get confirmation behind the scenes that Viekainen intends to start from the back of the field. So this has been just a practice session for him, and he threw those laps away on purpose to try and climb from the back. What about AJ Roper here? Not a name that I recall seeing before, and very bright paint scheme out there on that car as well, as he brings it down into Canada Corner. First lap was good enough for 22nd.
Out of Canada Corner, the lowest part of the racetrack here, and it is all uphill, a little bit over crest here, coming to the final quarter now. But trust me, if you are out of gas or stumbling late in the race, you are in trouble, as you see AJ just barely dip a tire going in there, and might cost him a little bit of time, but let's see if he improves on his current lap.
Cross the timing line. No, it's a 53.3. He'll stay 23rd at best now, as Sam Ryman has pipped him in 22nd position. Good to see Sam back as well. Hopefully he's got his mic working this time if he comes and has a chat with us. 30 seconds left, and I don't think we've got anybody able to set a time from here. Just double checking. Yeah, that is it. Our grid is now set for today. And Juanmi Costa, while he does have one win, he had a DNF in the first round, so he's playing catch up on the points. Looks like he is set to try and take win number 2 here from the pole. Partanen will try to stop him from the outside, as Timothy Reed will start from P3. And Luca Bracali is going to begin there from the 4th position, the Italian coming in to see if he can spoil the party. Yanni Rionen there in 5th will be flanked by Phil Reed in P6, and Jack David Spickett, who we've seen improve steadily and really shown to be himself to be quite a fast driver, will start from 7th. Brandon Merrill will be P8, Mimo Moreno will be in P9, and Nathan Finnegan rounds out your top 10.
Seamus Power here in 11th, Daniel Banker in 12th, and Tim Britton here in 13th, Patrick Samaran 14th, Miguel Moreland in the 15th place position, Keith Herner, Jason Carlo 17th, Pablo Suarez, Antonio Alvarez, and Barry West rounding out the top 20.
Steve Sopka starts 21st with Sam Ryman in 22nd. Then the next row sees AJ Roper and Cam Porter. Jack Sanchez was the last driver to set a time. Viekainen, Yarva, and Jason Clapper will start at the back of the field as they now start to grid up. It is very warm on the track here in Wisconsin. It is 104 Fahrenheit on the track surface. A little warm for Wisconsin in the air too at 81 degrees, but clear skies. Clearly the sun has been cooking things for a bit.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to disagree with iRacing weather. Usually when it's that warm in Wisconsin, it's a lot more humid than that. These guys are lucky out there today.
I agree. From the Midwest, when it's that hot, yeah, it is sticky hot out there. So the virtual fans would be grateful, no doubt, for a day like this out here in Wisconsin, especially in April, as we get ready to start. Just waiting for the last couple to line up, including the front row with Partanen there on the outside. We'll see how they can handle this standing start down into turn 1. As treacherous as it is into there, it's turn 5 that you really need to watch out for as everybody is heavy braking. Looks like they're ready to go. The engines now start to rev as the lights come up. It's round 4 here in the Sunday Grand Prix Series, and the green flag is out. It's not a good start for Costa. Partonen is starting to out-drag him up to the first corner, but he's on the outside. Does he try and chop him off? He doesn't completely get past him as they come up to the brake, and he tries to steer in, and he gets a little bit of a tip. He spins around on the outside. Looks like everybody is going to be able to miss him for the most part as they all stream by, but from second place he goes to last.
Oh, so unfortunate for Pauli Partonen right off of the start. I didn't see big contact from any other cars, and then check this out. This is Timothy Reed, Yanni Rieinen battling it out, heading into turn 5 for the first time.
There was a big moment for Timothy Reed coming out of turn 3 as he had to catch the car on his outside. Deep braking for Phil Reed as well. Can't quite get the position. Watching to see if everybody else behind them is able to get through, and it looks like we made it through turn 5. Partonen must have had some sort of big damage from that because he's parked it in pit lane.
Oh, so unfortunate. I think Jack Sanchez just got caught up in an incident in turn 6, just in front of Kimmo Vilakainen. I've been watching Kimmo back here. I expected him to make a few more moves, but actually pretty narrow track with how wide these cars are.
Partonen has left the server, so he is officially out of this race. He didn't have a black and orange flag, so he could have carried on, but apparently unhappy with how that began. So coming down into the braking for Canada Corner, Costa way ahead of Bracali, but Rieinen still having to fight hard as Timothy Reed gets to the inside, down into the right-hander, but it's not done.
No, look at this. The power from Yanni on the outside, hanging on to that third place position. And here comes, like you said, Phil Reed, now right on the bumper, but this is leading into the front straightaway. Gonna need the horsepower, the low wing setting. Let's see the draft battle.
Phil Reed just behind him. I love this. Our director has dubbed him the Controller King. I think that's a good nickname. So let's see what he can do on that Xbox controller as they start to close in on Rieinen once again, but he holds position. It's quite the train from him on back. Great exit here from the number 3, looking to the inside into turn 3, but nothing doing there. They've also got Moreno, Spickett, Finnegan, and Power in behind them.
Yeah, I was going to say that this has got to boil over soon because the train is starting to form up behind. You see Phil Reed, Timothy Reed right on the back bumper here going into turn 5. Here's a big late move from Reed. Little bit of contact going to shove Rieinen out of the way.
The Finns are getting the rough end of the stick here today as he has to slot back on board with Moreno, and he's not able to overtake on Rieinen, at least quite yet. They go back to single file. We're only on lap 2. This has been a lot of action.
Well, and this is really for that final podium spot, Joe. This is third place, and there may be 6 cars lined up, but who wants to stand on that podium? It's early days, but that's the spot you're chasing.
Indeed. So Rieinen, I'm seeing, has been around for 11 races in the past. The Raccoon Racing driver, not a lot of history out here. And in fact, he just went off in a big way, and he's going to get hit by multiple cars out of the kink. There's our first victim. He winds up upside down and thankfully is able to tow before it gets worse. I think Keith Herner was one of those that ran into him.
And I'm going back and taking a look. Joe, this is... I mentioned these cars, ground effect cars, they run very, very low to the ground, and I think he got high centered on a curb and it upset him there in the kink. We're going to have to see if that's going to bite anybody else today because that was just lap 2, already our first victim.
Yeah, and that it wasn't quite Herner. Herner had a separate incident. It does look like Jack David Spickett and Nathan Finnegan had a little bit of contact. We'll take a look at it in a little bit. A massive, massive accident. And 2 Finns are pretty much out from the get-go.
Yeah, big-time wreck, but check this out. Juan Costa still leading, and in fact, here is the replays. We're going to start off. This was the initial start. Watch the contact between Pauli Partonen and Juan Costa going into turn 1.
That, I think, was a little bit of ghost contact, yeah. And wow, really good job from everybody to stay out of it from him. Does he even take and try to go? No, we're not going to get to see. Here's Yanni's moment, though. and just got a little bit wide, I think, off of that turn, hit the bump, and there it goes, just smashes that inside wall.
Thankfully, this is a simulator, and you see him. Oh, there's another car spun back there, like you mentioned, but he hits the reset button before the rest of the field comes through. Have to at least applaud him for that. It looks like Keith Herner was the yellow car that also spun.
Yeah, so completely separate, but actually a very similar incident. He went a little bit wider and just went around, but it looks like he is still going, so nobody hits him. Great job by Keith. As we're going to take one more look at Jason Carlo. Apparently had an incident maybe we missed here, coming down into turn 5. Whoa!
I think Jason Carlo right there was looking at his mirrors, because did you notice the white and purple car? That was Kimmo Vilakainen making his way through the field.
Indeed, he's up to 14th already, a gain of 12. Really enjoying himself. Maybe he's going by dirt track rules here that he thinks every car that he passes, he gets an extra point.
Well, I tell you what, he's got one lined up right now. Miguel Moreland right in his sights, in his crosshairs, if you will, directly behind this battle. And he's already pulled out side by side, heading into turn 1, going to take away the 13th place spot.
So Kimmo now up into that P13. Next up is Tim Britton on his list. He's running pretty good lap times, a 53.6 last time. Will put him probably up within the top 10 as they come along down the Moraine Sweep now. And he's given a good tow to Moreland, so he could find a re-attack, but looks like he's just a little too far away, although deep braking from Miguel into the corner. As we jump back to Cam Porter once again in 20th position, and side by side as he gets fed out by Jason Clapper.
Yeah, Jason, one of these cars that starts from the back up 8 positions, but Cam also up 3 himself. And you see Cam already smiling. He may be a little frustrated that he gave up a spot right there, but he's having fun.
He liked to tell us earlier this weekend he has not met a road course he doesn't like, and Road America is certainly a popular one, so I think he's having a hoot out here as he continues to chase down through the carousel despite losing the position. We check in with Juan Micosta. It's looking like he's got it under control. Bacali's about 2 seconds behind him, so not a serious threat. It's still early days, though, and as we've often seen, Joey, the pace of these cars can sometimes change from the front to the back end of the race.
Well, and I think that also has to do with the open setup that you mentioned earlier, that you can tweak and tune this setup. Some of the guys only put in a few practice laps. Some of them put in hours, if not days, of practice and really fine-tune their setup. So we'll have to see if the speed comes in at any one given point. But I think, Joe, the car that I've got my eye on is probably Timothy Reed. He's got the fastest lap of the race so far to 51.9, and he's actually tracking faster than Luca Bracali in second place as well.
Interesting. And he's fallen back, so something must have happened that separated them. But we'll see if he continues to pick off that time and is able to fight for P2 as they break down into turn 5 once again. The controller king behind them also has gapped out just a little bit there in 4th place, so no threat. You really have to get back to Moreno and Spickett in 5th and 6th before you get any sort of battle starting to brew.
Yeah, and I tell you what, though, past 5th and 6th, like you're mentioning, all the way back to where Kimmo Vilakainen is, back 14th, 15th, it's pretty much a long train of cars, and they're all battling pretty tough. And I think one thing that we're seeing is a little bit of the aero wash in these faster corners, like the carousel, as we're watching Moreno lead Jack David Spickett right behind him.
Now, they like to do classic liveries, and I'm trying to pick out if this is a classic livery on Moreno or if this is kind of a custom thing that he's done that's a more modern thing. But I really love how it looks, if I'm honest, because it's got that sort of very gentle, soft teal color to it along with the white, and it's maybe making him faster, you never know, but right now he's holding down the top 5, like you said, with Spickett just kind of sitting back there and waiting to see if a gap will open up.
Yeah, and have to see how it runs. I'm curious to see what Memo's time is this time, but look at this battle. Oh my goodness. I think this is back here for what is 15th place, Joe. 13th, 14th, and keep on counting them.
Yarva had a bit of a bad exit. He's climbed a lot, though, up 11 positions. Remember, he didn't set a qualifying time. That's Alvarez behind him with a great tow, but not gaining fast. Boy, it must be a really streamlined car there for Yarva, because he was less than a car length behind him, and he still wasn't gaining, was Alvarez.
Yeah, well, and here we go. Here comes, I believe this is Yarva taking a look. Yeah, he's going to go too deep into turn 3. Open the door also for Alvarez. Now Alvarez is going to be right tucked up behind Yarva.
So Moreland's now really under threat. Alvarez, as he starts to look around the outside of, or inside rather, as he almost gets squeezed by the Williams liveried car. And behind them, great outbraking by Jason Clapper over Barry West. That one's not over. That's West in the yellow machine. That is Clapper in the Marlboro machine. As they tuck down into turn 6, he's going to be able to get it, but looks like Cam Porter can't capitalize.
No, but it's brought him right up to the battle here, and got Barry West right in front of him. Ooh, look at this run he's got. Not going to take a look down the inside, and this is a really good race for Cam.
Absolutely. Just has to keep it together from here. A long ways to go. Only on lap 6 out of 20 here this afternoon as they fly down the backstretch into the kink once again. Hopefully everybody is safe through it this time, and we get no major wrecks up at the front of this group. Still leading the way down into the braking. Oh, and under threat is Suarez. Now finds Nico Yarva just slicing through.
Well, Nico Yarva made a couple late brake moves this lap alone, and you're right, slicing through that pack. It was a long train, and look at this blue-purple car straight to the front of it.
Unbelievable. He's taken a page right out of Viekainen's book and is up 13. Not quite as many as Kimo, who's up 15 right now. And sounds like second place might be getting a little bit hot. Oh, no, Barry West just went off.
I believe, is that turn 1 right there?
Is.
Yes, it is. A common place to have a hook spin. And, oh, I think he's got damage on the car as well, which would mean contact.
No, that was Banker. My apologies. Thought that was West. Same team out there.
Oh, we got contact for position 2. Bracali has been sent around by Timothy Reed at turn 6. Sorry to take that away, Joe.
Yeah, that's the replay right there, and we'll go to the replay of that incident here in a moment. But you're right, just a little bit too much speed and bounced it off in a bad way. So second place suddenly changing hands. Let's see here. Is this into turn 6? He's going to make a dive.
Just the slightest of contact at apex, and Luca Bracali gets turned around and right on board here with Timothy Reed. You see him get up to the inside and see if this is a little bit of netcode like we saw earlier. No, definitely contact with the wheel-to-wheel. That's what happened there.
Close, hard racing. He had a wheel in. I felt like he had was allowed to get room there. But Bracali just tried to turn down on it, it seems, as we come back to Kimo Viekainen here with Brandon Merrill just in front of him. This is a battle for 9th.
Kimo working his way up through the field consistently. I mean, we're going to be clicking over to lap, I guess we're already on lap 8. Kimo's about to click over there and already cracked the top 10. Got Brandon Merrill lined up right in front of him. Let's see if he's close enough here into turn 1. I don't think he's quite there, but just stay in the tire tracks, be patient, line it up for probably turn 5, although look at this. He's close enough to late break into turn 3. Does he take it? Yes, he does.
Nice move. Viekainen now into 9th. Earned the space is the words that I was trying to find there a little bit earlier that Timothy Reed had managed to do. Meanwhile, as they fly down into turn 5, look at them all hunting each other as they just kind of hover behind that rear wing. A little deep there for Nathan Finnegan and the dark purple number 8 as we come over to Pablo Suarez in 15th. It has been a real party here in the mid-pack with just non-stop action.
I mean, that's typically Lotus 79 racing, and Road America helps provide that, although it looks like Pablo's just gotten overtaken by Jason Clapper not too long ago. One of our biggest movers, him and Nico Yarva. Oh, I'm sorry, Kimo up 17. That's my mistake.
Yeah, Chemo's one-upping all those that started from the back of the field. It's really becoming a trend for a number of drivers who seem to enjoy that battle, which is not easy. The other thing we have to reiterate here, Joey, is this is top split. To charge through the top split, that's pretty incredible.
The top split in any iRacing series is the cream of the crop, but Joe, you mentioned it all the time. Really, this series specifically, Lotus 79, is a feeder series to some of the top iRacers on the entire service.
You tend to get the top-end open-wheel Pro Series on iRacing kind of breeds drivers in here. It's really incredible to witness the number of them that I've seen get that black stripe and go on to do impressive things. But here we go with the battle up into turn one. Viekainen with two more on his list. Let's see if he can check them off. Finnegan and then Power.
And you mentioned the power of the draft a few laps ago and mentioned that third or fourth place car just not being able to do much. Let's see if Kimmo Viekainen, he's in that third place spot in the draft. He's going to have tremendous top speed. It looks like he will be close enough. Is he going to be brave enough? Looking to the outside. Got to be careful not to go too wide out there, but going to think of a new place.
Indeed, you can rack up 1x off tracks. It's considered out of bounds over there if you go too far, but I think he's okay for now as he continues to ride behind Nathan Finnegan. Certainly showing himself here and there, but decides he wants a safer move now that he's hit some of the faster drivers up at the top of the field. We're getting close to the halfway mark, though.
Closer to halfway, indeed, and I'm trying to project. I'm looking at these gaps here. Once Kimmo, if he does get past Finnegan and Seamus Power here, he's got a long ways up the road to catch Luca. And got to remember, Luca's got a lot of speed. He was running way up front and second for the majority of the beginning of this race.
Oh, and he gets into the back of Finnegan. Finnegan gets shoved off the course into the kitty litter. Thankfully doesn't hit the wall, but it looks like Viekainen's going to carry on, and he's waiting patiently to get this car turned around. I hope he's going to get going. Oh, he might want to just put it in reverse here. There he goes. And then another car goes off behind him. That's Cam Porter. That's one of our onboards.
Oh, no. Troubles for Cam Porter in Canada corner, and wouldn't be surprised if this is just a little bit of target fixation distraction, but first we're going to get this replay.
Yeah, so this is Kimmo, just breaks a little deep, did not anticipate the tiniest of touches, if that. And they are so on edge, you could see how quickly it sent him off into the gravel.
And here comes the second incident. This is Cam Porter coming around. Let's see if he sees any smoke or dust, debris. Oh, he just gets in really deep there.
Yeah, I saw a little hop. I think maybe he had ghost contact from one of those cars that were with him. They almost went 3 wide, it looked like, down into the corner. Porter also able to get it back on the circuit. He's now back down in 22nd, which is still a net gain for him. And now he's got 2 other friends. That's Jack Sanchez in front of him and Keith Herner behind him.
Battle going down into turn 5 here. Let's see, do they battle it out on the brakes? Although these top speeds, Joe, I'm looking 170 plus miles an hour going into turn 5.
Yeah, they go pretty fast. Oh, no. Loses control for a bit, and Porter goes into the side of Keith Herner, who's already had a bit of a bad moment at the kink, and now it just gets worse. So we come back now a little bit farther up to Nico Jarva, up 15 positions currently, still tied with Clapper. Make that, well, he's no longer tied. 16 positions. He goes by Tim Britton.
Yeah, and that was very close going through the kink there. And Nico Jarva now looking ahead. That car right in front of him, I don't believe that is a position car. Oh, no, it is. Patrick Samaran just about a half second right in front of him. So Nico Jarva looking to crack the top 10.
Wow, just amazing stuff here. Looks like we might have a bit of a moment as long as Jarva isn't quicker than we anticipate. We do have Daniel Banker waiting, one of our retirees from this race. Daniel, you had a little bit of help, it looked like there coming. Or no, actually, you did you spin on yourself? I think it was. So much has happened.
Yeah, I lost it in turn 1. So
well,
there?
Yep, we gotcha. Well, it looks like a lot of drivers are having trouble out here today. It's a pretty hot track. Did the warm temperatures catch you out a bit?
I've been practicing in pretty much the same conditions all week, so I'm kind of used to it. But yeah, it's really disappointing. I felt like I was punching above my weight, being in the top 10 with such a talented field. And yeah, just lost concentration long enough to put it into the wall.
Well, it's still a long season, thankfully. You do have some drop weeks to count for. Next time out, we're heading to Hungary. How do you feel about heading over there?
It's going to be like night and day. If I remember correctly, we need a much higher downforce setup for Hungaroring, so it's like driving a different car.
Ooh, meantime, Nico Jarva looks like he's already caught up to Samaran, and he's going to take 10th place. Well, commiserations here, Dan. We hope to be talking to you a little bit, but like you said, the pace is there. Just got to try and bring it around to other circuits.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Daniel Banker, who sadly retires in 26th place here today. So Jarva, with 2 more cars in quick succession, has to catch up to Merrill by about 4 seconds now.
Yeah, Jarva's doing a really good job as we see another purple lap from Juan Costa highlight the top of the board, 151.6. So he's really up on it, and maybe that car is just continuing to get faster with his setup. And here we're going to jump on board Seamus Power. Now, Seamus is in 8th, but you look, that's actually Vilakainen right there in front of him. Kimmo just put a move on Seamus this previous lap, so I think Seamus is just going to follow in these tire tracks, see if he can follow Kimmo up, maybe get into a hunt later on in the race.
It's going to be hard to catch the next car, Luca Bercali, unless he has a little bit of damage off of that incident from before, because he's still running in 6th. I would have expected him to be kind of charging back up to those top spots, but we'll see, as there's a little bit of a look on Kimmo down into turn 5 out of Seamus, but nothing doing for the time being. As they swing through turn 6, I'm kind of with you. I don't think if I'm Seamus, I would fight him too hard. I would just try and ride those coattails.
Well, and you also have to look right behind you is Brandon Merrill, so if you try to fight the number 4 car too much, you actually might bring in some unnecessary battles that you don't want occupying your rear view mirror. And plus, Kimmo went up and passed you for a reason. He's a fast driver in a fast car. You might as well take some notes, apply them to your own setup and driving.
Kimmo's starting to pull away a little bit now. Seamus struggling to hold on to him as well. We'll see if the front stretch allows him to catch back up in that slipstream, as he's fallen to about half a second back down through Canada corner, little off the apex there. See if he's tighter up through Bill Mitchell Bend. That looks much more tidy out of the number 9. And here's that critical final turn. Let's see if this is close enough to just creep a little closer.
I can tell you what, Kimmo got a really good run out of that corner and looked like he was wagging the tail just a little bit. And everything that I've always learned from car setup, Joe, loose is fast, but not too loose.
Exactly. You got to be on that knife's edge. What about Phil Reed, the controller king, on a podium spot here today? Half a second behind Timothy Reed as well, and has been closing that down bit by bit. But we've been seeing at times Timothy has been taking that fastest lap. He and Juan Costa seem to be trading that back and forth.
Well, and okay, so let's talk about fast lap, Joe, because we've got some incredibly talented racers in the field, but do you see who has the fast lap right now and with a controller?
51.360 for Phil Reed, and that's what we're watching right now. Watch these hands. Remember, this is an Xbox controller that you're seeing him work with.
It's not the smooth movements that you're used to seeing out of the direct drive, and it's incredible. I think the only other controller king that I can think of is who was the F1? Was it Villeneuve who did the classic F1 game back in COVID times on the controller?
I didn't know that. That's wild. Unfortunately, I think, did we have a prompt from Merrill? No, we did not. Excuse me. He just had some connection issues. I saw his name drop down, but it looks like his internet was just getting wonky on him. He's still staying close to Seamus Power and is in fact caught up to Seamus Power. But Phil Reed still stuck at about half a second back this last lap. Let's see. 51.4. Not going to be quicker than last time. But Timothy Reed actually just responded with his personal best of a 51.436, which is actually the exact same time that Phil Reed ran, down to a thousandth of a second.
Crazy how tight the times are up here, and a little bit of a wag of the tail from Timothy Reed coming out of turn 3. And I tell you what, all Phil has to do is be in that draft, which he is plenty in, being a half a second back. And I'm comparing these top speeds up to 5 miles an hour difference up at the top end.
So going to see drivers perhaps gaining a lot at times down the long straights of this track. You really want to be fast in a straight line here. This is basically the battle for best of the rest, though, because it's up to 6 seconds to Costa, and he's kind of running away here. He's going to be our first driver to take 2 wins on the season and try to get himself back into the hunt. Some of that will start to go away once they start taking into account the drop races that they use in this series as well. So yes, Costa had a DNF in the first race and a 0 score, but he will feel that pain start to go away as we carry on. I thought I saw a little bit of a wiggle there from Reed coming through the kink, so I wonder if he's starting to feel a little looseness late in the race.
Now, are you referring to Reed with the 2 E's or Reed with the EI?
Sorry, Timothy Reed. Yes, I should clarify.
Copy. No, I saw the same thing out of turn 3. Timothy Reed, the red car out here. And here he is again, coming out of the final corner, a little bit loose coming out. And check this out. This is it. Phil Reed is definitely there.
That was not the place where he wanted a poor exit, and Phil knows it. He's going to go to the inside. Timothy doesn't defend. He's going to leave the door open, and Phil is through and up into second place. By the way, Phil, I love your paint scheme here, the Stonks paint scheme.
Well, and to talk about the controller one more time, I think where I noticed it most is when he was trying to follow in the draft there. It's really tough for him to follow in the draft, and here we go back. Timothy Reed's going to have a shot, a little bit of a defense. Oh, he left enough room, but a little bit cautious there from Timothy Reed.
Yeah, he was afraid he wasn't going to get enough space there. And to Phil's credit, he did leave a car's width in there. So Tim maybe just not sure how this is going to play out, and he'll stay behind. He's still plenty close. Another poor exit from Phil Reed this time out of turn 6, but the dirty air is tough down the hill, and Timothy backs off.
I think we're in for a little bit of a treat for this second place, though, because it looks like they're similar in pace, and you look at timing and scoring, similar pace on the overall lap time. I wonder if Phil Reed can hang on to the second place position, or if Timothy Reed here in the draft coming through the kink, going into Canada corner. Let's see what he's got. Yeah, nice little run here. Not going to be close enough, but still right here.
Yeah, he is within a couple car lengths. He can keep him under threat, force him to not make any mistakes, because if Reed gets a wiggle of his own, then no doubt Timothy is going to try and pounce on it and see if he can go by. So Phil now taking it up the front stretch. This is where he got the advantage last time. Will the tables be turned?
A little bit wide there from Phil coming out of the final turn, and let me tell you, this number 5 car is plenty close. We'll see the downforce level settings, and here we go in the slipstream. Now we're going to duck out. Timothy looks down to the inside, late on the brakes, gets it done. Big wag of the tail, saves it.
Phil has a good exit, but does he try it into 3? No, he likes it here down into the Moraine sweep. He knows this will be probably an easier pass, but he doesn't get the run, and he's a little too far behind. He could try and send a massive lunge, but I wouldn't at this point.
Well, and check this out, though. Phil Reed's car, it's tremendous on the straightaways. It handles down the straight incredibly, and I think he might be running 1 or 2 clicks lower wing setting. Or, Joe, you've even mentioned it that the ride height can change the top-end speed in these cars.
Absolutely. If you can figure out how to get the car to just be right on the ride height, many drivers have mentioned that you can get straight line speed out of it that way. But that stuff is unfortunately a little bit beyond me as to exactly what and how they're doing it. So we'll have to ask them if they use that at any point here. Just can't hang with them at this stage through some of the corners. It does look like Phil Reed doesn't quite have the cornering speed. It's down the straights that he is the threat.
Well, and look at it here. I'm already looking. He's 4 miles an hour up just in the middle of the straightaway alone. So, yeah, definitely got the car trimmed out. And let me tell you, at Road America, that is a fast race car. It may not be a fast qualifying car, but here with all of these hills, horsepower is king.
All right, he's a little farther back this time compared to last time as they start to run up the hill to complete lap 16. We're getting towards the end of it now. Only 4 left to go. Phil Reed too far behind this time. Is he backing off, resetting, trying to figure out how he wants to approach this maybe?
Yeah, I think Timothy Reed is kind of
sorry. We just had an off for Patrick Samaran, who's had such a collected race so far, and I think it's over for him. He had a big hit out of Bill Mitchell Bend.
It's unfortunate there for the number 14 car, and yeah, he's way down the order, but check this out. Here comes Phil Reed really late on the brakes, side by side into turn 5. They both make it out the other end. No change of position. Timothy Reed hangs on to second.
It was a valiant effort. He was very close to doing it, but man, great job for Tim for being able to hold on to a big slide as well from Phil Reed. So here's what happened to Patrick coming up over the crest of Bill Mitchell Bend, all on his own, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just gets loose, and that wall, that concrete wall, comes up fast.
Well, and coming up over the crest right there, if you clip the curb, it can definitely upset the car a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if that's what happened. And one of the few over crest moments here at Road America. That one is tricky, high speed.
Still close behind. I thought Phil Reed was maybe backing up for another charge, but he didn't need to take long for it. He's already had one go down into turn 5. He's close into Canada corner, but we won't see an attempt this time. Maybe on the front stretch if you can keep close to that gearbox of the number 5 as they start to approach the final corner. Both trying to set it up off the turn as they accelerate and get the power down. It was much better for Tim.
Yeah, the red car really scooted out of the exit very nicely, and here you see Phil Reed just trying to stay in that draft. I mentioned it. I think this is where he struggles with the controller, is maximizing that draft.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Getting the little subtle movements in on a straight line have got to be very, very tough up there, as now they head through turn 3. That time another slide out of Phil Reed. Wonder if the tires are overheating in the dirty air.
It very well could be, and it was interesting to note earlier. Oh, is this Luca Bracali? This Luca Bracali looks like battling it out with Memo Moreno, trying to get back into the top 5.
He's got the inside. Moreno does not defend. Bracali, is he going to be able to outbrake him? No, he falls back a little bit, but he's got the apex, and that's all he needs as Moreno falls to 6th.
And Luca has been setting some really fast lap times, a 151.8, his fastest last time out. So he might have been knocked out of that second place position, but he's definitely back up on the horse.
Next on his list is Jack David Spickett, another driver that's been very quiet today in that 4th place, just kind of running his own race, as here he is on your screen, off the turn and down towards the kink once more. Like the even has the old school Pepsi logo, it looks like. So very cool stuff out of him. And do we have a problem? Oh my goodness, Nathan Finnegan is on his lid. How did he do that?
Oh, no, I'm going back and taking a look at it. Oh, Joe, there's actually a car right in front of him. See who this was. I believe this is Miguel Moreland, who we're just watching. Here comes Finnegan just to a car stop perpendicular, and actually Miguel was trying to get it back going and blocking the track, unfortunately.
If he hadn't have pulled forward, I think he would have been able to sneak through. Here from above, let's watch it. There's the spinning car in front. Yeah, he pulled forward just half a foot, and that's all it took, and poor Finnegan found himself the wrong way up, and that ends his race. This actually helps Cam Porter, who's 2 laps down and has been picking up these DNFs and taking attrition to his advantage to be up to 23rd. He's going to get 22nd now. In the meantime, the battle for P2 is what rages on. Timothy Reed versus Phil Reed.
It's stretched out just a little bit the last couple laps, but here comes the attack once again from that black number 3 car. I can't believe I haven't put that together yet.
Yeah, that's true. But it's the flashes of red, not quite, I think, mimicking the Intimidator that makes it different. But still, Phil Reed is going to try and scare Timothy Reed off the racing line here with less than a lap and a half to go here. They are coming down to it, and it's up to 8 seconds to Costa. He's been controlling this race with aplomb up there, basically going to run away with it, and it's these two that are trying to pick up the scraps.
Well, and if you're talking about trying to scare them off the racetrack, Joe, I'm sure that they know each other very well. The community, they race together all the time, but all he's got to do is say, hey, I'm racing with a controller out here, and that would be plenty to scare me.
I know, and I got to think, Phil's been around a lot, so Tim's got to know that he's running with a controller, but reputation says a lot. Phil's been clean. We haven't seen him be wild and shoving people out of the way in that controller, so they know they can trust to race him close. In fact, Phil just took the fastest lap of the race again on that controller.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the two have raced side by side without any contact, so you're right. It's more about who you're racing rather than what they are racing on.
As long as it's your performance on the track, that's what they count. And Juan Costa, with his performance here today, just incredible stuff. Taking the win at Watkins Glen, didn't manage to get it last week in Monza, but responding by taking his second one. His first race really was that aberration, as it was on the first lap. He got shoved out of the way at Sebring, remember, with close racing, and wound up not only going to the back, but then a later wreck completely removed him from the event. But smooth sailing here today in that number 2, trying to take another championship.
Yeah, just got a few more corners left, albeit daunting, through the kink here at Road America. Nice and easy, doesn't even get up on the apex curbs. And one more time through Canada Corner, just stand on these brakes nice and hard and use that big old motor to climb up the rest of this racetrack.
That Ford Cosworth that has been one of the winningest engines in all of Formula One was in this car, as Timothy and Phil have made contact. We'll go back to that in a little bit, but for now, it's a win for Juan Costa, his 7th ever in the series, to put him back up in the hunt for the championship. And Timothy Reed is going to be the one that takes that second place, as Phil is trying to hold on to third over Jack David Spickett. He gets it rolling once again, and it looks like he was going to survive. Jack just not close enough to catch him at the line, though he was close. Let's take a look and see what happened here, because that was down to the Canada Corner.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing here, and once we get this replay spooled up, we'll be able to talk you through it. And essentially what happened is Phil Reed just tried to make a move around the outside, and they were very, very much too wide here, Joe, going into the brake zone. And here we go. This is Phil Reed in the black car in the tow. He's going to look driver's left. Going to be slight contact at apex, which turns him around.
It turns in. He's on the outside. Hard to tell from that angle, but it looked like fair racing from there. And we had a close race between AJ Roper and Pablo Suarez. It looks like Suarez unfortunately got spun out as Moreland follows them across the line. Just behind, how about Sam Ryman, up to 17th position here. So a gain of 5 for him. Nice race for our friend here, one of our commentators. That's why we were bringing him up. It looks like that's going to be it, though, with 21 cars on the lead lap. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Road America. Juan Mi Costa gets win number 2 this season as Timothy Reed finishes second behind him after a fierce battle with Phil Reed. And it sounds like they're even chatting about it post-race here with Timothy saying it looks like a bit of net code between the pair of them. So a bit unfortunate, but they had great racing all day long. Jack Spickett was in 4th, just about snatched that 3rd place away from Phil with that late incident. Luca Bracali, another one, it was kind of a theme today, where drivers just had a little bit of a touch and it sent him out. He was only able to gather it back up to 5th. Moreno was P6 behind him. How about Kimo Viekainen? 19 positions gained for our hard charger to finish 7th. Seamus Power was 8th. And Brandon Merrill was 9th. And then behind him, Nico Jarva, not as many positions, but still impressive, up 17 to finish 10th.
Talking about up 17, Jason Clapper as well in the number 17, finishing 11th. Antonio Alvarez coming home 12th. Tim Britton, 13th. AJ Roper, another big mover, up 9 positions for AJ. Pablo Suarez, 15th. Barry West, 16th. Samuel Raymond, 17th. Miguel Moreland, 18th. Steve Sopka and Jack Sanchez rounding out the top 20.
Last driver on the lead lap was Keith Herner. Had a number of dramas today and a slightly damaged car. He wound up 21st. Nathan Finnegan was a DNF with Cam Porter, the last driver to finish, and from there on down, drivers who had to retire prematurely. Unfortunately, we're waiting to see if we can talk to Costa or some of our other guys because they haven't quite shown up yet. But I'd love to get to their perspective because, like we said, hard, good racing out there. Some dramatic moments, Joey, but nothing that seemed too untoward to me.
No, I don't think that there is anything malicious out there one bit. We saw some really good racing. And speaking of how upright and honest the community is, I'm even seeing in race chat here that Miguel Moreland is raising his hand, said he thought he clicked reverse to get out of the racetrack, but instead collected Nathan Finnegan, which we highlighted there in that replay.
Yeah, one of those innocent mistakes that it can be easy to do in the heat of the moment, trying to get that car into the right gear. So sad to see that. I also love this comment from Steve Sopka, because we have to remember there's no power steering on this car. So you feel it. You can turn it down in iRacing, obviously, but he says Popeye's arms would hurt after driving this car. So they get a bit of a workout, especially if you got a direct drive wheel.
Well, especially in these cars, high downforce cars with a lot of grip with the skinny front tires. Yeah, you're using the big muscles in your arms to turn these cars for sure. And after Road America, the only thing that they have to be happy for is that they don't have the old school brake systems that these cars had, because then their legs would definitely be worn out as well as their arms.
Well, and the brakes could easily go away in these old cars because I think they did not put carbon fiber brakes together yet. Meanwhile, we do have Juan Mi Costa ready to chat with us. First double winner so far this season. Obviously, you had that DNF in the first round, which kind of hurt you in the points, but it's starting to look like you got things back on track. Oh, don't seem to have Juan Mi. It looks like you're muted here on the server. Let's see if we can get the mic unmuted here for Juan Mi Costa. Juan Mi, do you have a copy?
Okay, now, sorry.
Now we got you.
My niece was playing with the steering wheel late before. Sorry. Yes, happy to see things getting back to normal without weird things happening. And sorry for Pauli. He was a little bit of net code there, and I couldn't go more to the inside.
Have you been able to talk to him at all?
No, not yet.
Okay, because he did seem slightly upset. He didn't say anything, but he retired the car immediately, which a bit surprised us since it didn't seem like a big hit. Back to the race itself, though, you managed to run away and break the slipstream. Was that kind of job one here today with those behind you?
Yeah, I know Phil. At least I raced with him in Thursday. I know he can. He was able to stay on my pace all the race, so I had to push at the start of the first laps. But we had this weird wind. It was like 10 kph to 25, and it's not easy to drive like this in iRacing.
I can imagine. And now next week we go to kind of the complete opposite, going to Hungary, a very twisty track with few long straights. Can you repeat this over there?
I hope so. I like more the high downforce tracks than the lower ones.
I can understand that. You want that grip out there. Congratulations on win number 2 this season, and we'll keep an eye out for you.
Thank you.
That was Juan Costa, your winner. Second place, one of the dramas that we were talking about. Joey's caught up with Timothy Reed.
Well, Timothy Reed, congratulations, first of all, finishing second here at Road America.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, and talk us through a couple of the battles that you had, because it wasn't just one that you had with Phil Reed, but you were also locked in one, I believe it was with Luca Bercali early on.
Yeah, it was a terrible start, bad first lap, so I lost some places. Kind of had it in my head that I could probably maybe have the same pace as Juanmi, so I just wanted to catch up. And I was racing with my elbows out a little too far today, probably. I kind of went in, did a big dive on Yanni, and I apologize for that one, on turn 5, and then later with Luca. Kind of had the door open. I'm like, well, I'm about half a second faster, so I decided just to go for it. And fortunately, he closed in and we made contact, but I think he was able to finish the race.
Well, and not only that, we saw a lot of netcode going on out there. I didn't see anything malicious from you, so I wouldn't worry about anything like that. And then talk to us. You had Phil Reed hounding the back of you pretty much the last half of the race. You guys swapped positions a couple times, and what did you think about that? Did you have enough aero? It seemed like his car was fast on that top end.
Yeah, I took the community set and added wings to it. I just prefer the higher downforce, so I knew I kind of had to, in the middle of the field, just try to get a gap. And I would usually gain 0.3, 0.4 seconds on him just on the carousel, but the last lap he just nailed it, and he was right on me. So I knew that there was a move coming. And unfortunately there was a big old net code on that. I think he probably would have made the pass if that didn't happen. But yeah, it was a good race with Phil.
Well, and looking forward to Hungary next time out. A little bit different downforce levels. How are you feeling with your confidence going into that track?
We'll see. Not too good. I'm an American track type of guy, so Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Road America, those. But like when it comes to like the GP style, I'll show up and I'll do my best, but no big hopes for that one.
Well, Tim, anybody you want to say hi to?
Just the community and everyone that works really hard at supporting. Thanks to Andy for the set this week and Michael for all the promotions.
Well, that was Timothy Reed, your second place finisher.
We got one more with Cam Porter, who managed to climb back to 23rd by the end of the day. So not what you were looking for, Cam, but it looked like you were having fun. At one point we had you on camera and you were grinning ear to ear.
That was a fun race up until my incident, obviously. But yeah, just having a blast today. I went into this race thinking, well, after qualifying, I was one of the slowest qualifiers, obviously. And I was thinking, if I can just finish ahead of my car number in this crowd, I'll be happy. But I was doing better than I anticipated, and I was making up some spots and just made a mistake in the kink and went wide on the grass. That allowed another car to catch up to me, and they were trying to put a move on into Canada Corner. I left them room. I expected them to make a move, and just unfortunately I had some netcode, I think, and I got punted off. And then later made a mistake in the next lap, and unfortunately Keith Herner couldn't avoid hitting me. So sorry, Keith, and that damaged my suspension. Had to get some repairs. Unfortunately, it didn't fully repair the car, so I was just tootling around after that, trying to mitigate my safety rating loss.
Yeah, it's understandable. You gained a couple positions that look like as well. The thing that amazes me is back when I actually raced instead of blabbed on this game, I could only really focus on one series at a time. But you run all three of these consistently. I mean, how do you go from car to car and be able to get all that practice in?
Well, I don't get all that practice. I only do that. I do the half-hour practice before each race. That's about what I do. I race quite a few series actually, and not having kids or any real responsibilities allows me to do that and have a lot of time to race. But racing is my favorite pastime. What can I say? And I really enjoy it.
Well, we love seeing you out here. Love getting to talk to you, and hopefully we'll have better conditions discussing things with you post race at Hungary.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Cam Porter finishing P23 today, which is going to wrap us up with a big thank you, of course, to the Lotus 79 community in general, and also thanks to our team today, Joey, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As we mentioned, the Hungaroring will be up next on Sunday, April 16th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.